Wednesday. Let's wait for our YouTube to come through. All right, everybody. Welcome to Wealth Wednesday. The time is now 8:05. It's good to have you with us. All right, so today's gonna be cool. But let's start off with how everybody's doing. How's everybody doing today? Today's topic, we're going to be going into a few things, all centered around energy, whether it be energy from yourself to the universe, whether it's energy on this planet. We're going to be talking and breaking down the idea and concepts of energy, because I think that it's a very important topic now that I know that the mic's working. I don't got to keep that headphones on. So energy is our subject today. Now, what got me into this space of wanting to talk about energy? Well, I've been doing some research lately, and I think that's kind of where like my energy has been lately, just trying to put myself in position to understand more, So today I just did a 24-hour fast. I only got to maybe 19 hours. I didn't get all the way to the 24, but I did as much as I could. And one of the reasons why I fast, and we've talked about this in previous Wealth Wednesdays, is because it allows your energies to be used for outwardly things, not just inwardly things. So today we're going to talk about energy, and the first type of energy we're going to talk about are chakras. So as folks are coming on board, I want to say, well, welcome. We are The Way. The Way is a nonprofit that essentially looks at relationships, philanthropy, and financial literacy. We have a course that we've been doing for the last, maybe year. We've been doing private students, and we've been going through the different areas of financial literacy. That's something that we started because we felt like there was a need. And I think right now, seeing as the Fed's about to raise rates, this is a perfect time. You're about to get your tax returns. This is a perfect time to kind of go back to that subject and readdress finances 101, especially for right now. 2022 is going to be a very interesting year. And I've been telling folks before, like, hey, this is the year for you to start trying to minimize your expenses. If you have a lot of debts, lines of credit, car notes, whatever it is that you may have that's not serving you on the financial side, you got to get rid of that. Court Chappelle, what's going on? Over Mo. Hey, Mo, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Fee, what's up? All right, so today we're talking about energy. Now, most of you are familiar with chakras, right? You're familiar with the 7 chakras. What if I told you there was 12? Right? So when we talk about chakras, I'm actually going to pull this up now so you guys can kind of see my screen. We want to start this off the right way. So let's get into it. Camera roll, favorites. I think I saved all of these already so we could have it easy access. Favorites, and scroll. All right, where's the first one? Okay, here's the first one here. Boom. All right. So actually, I'm going to use a different one. Hold on. That one's good, but I want to use a different one. Camera roll. And bear with me, y'all. This is going to be worth your time. Trust me. All right, let's go to this one. Here we go. Okay. So these are the 7 chakras that most of you are familiar with. Okay. We'll start with the root chakra. It's the first chakra. It's located at the base of the spine. It provides a foundation on which we build our life, representing safety, security, and stability. When that chakra is not in alignment, we are talking about scattered energy, anxiety, and fear. That's how you can tell when that is when that is not aligned. Appreciate that, Coach Chappelle. Appreciate that. That's the first chakra. So a lot of folks that you see and you meet in life where they have, they're kind of scattered, they don't have a sense of safety. And what you'll find that in a lot of, unstable areas, especially in developing countries where they don't have access to the same level of normal things that we would have in America or in North America and Canada. So when that root chakra is unstable, you'll find that a lot of the outcomes of that are that people are going to be heightened awareness, heightened fear. Think of what's happening in Ukraine right now, right? The root chakra in Ukraine is all messed up because there is an actual war going on over there that's messing up everyone's ability to feel grounded, okay? The next chakra up is called the sacral chakra. If you guys can see my screen, actually, as a matter of fact, I'm going to pull this up on YouTube for the rest of you guys that are in the stream area. Let's pull up chakras. I'll share my screen here. Hopefully I can pull up the same one. Yep, I can. Okay. This is the one that I have here. It was actually off of Etsy. It's a beautiful thing. So let me pull this up on our YouTube stream for folks who are looking to share the screen with me. Got to make sure everyone's eating at the table. So let's share screen. Share screen. Share screen. System preferences. I gotta allow that. Okay, so sorry, YouTube. I gotta go back and do that later. Can't share my screen with you because it wants me to allow it. And I'm like, no, I just want you to share my screen, folks. Is it letting me do it? Now it's letting me do it. All right, so sorry, YouTube. You're gonna have to just bear with my words here. If you're on Instagram, you can check it out. All right. So chakra number 2 is the sacral chakra, right? And that is the sacral chakra is located below the navel and represents creativity, sexual energies, and the imbalanced attribute of that would be a lack of or repressed creativity, sexual dysfunction, withheld intimacy, and emotional isolation. So why I'm referencing this is because it's one thing to know what a chakra is. It's another thing to know how it relates to you in real life. And I think a lot of folks that talk about chakras is usually your yoga friends or people who are connected to the energies of the universe. And they're always talking about, yeah, my sacral chakra is blocked and this, that, and the third. But it's like, what are you talking about? Can you make that real for me? So we want to just kind of give you what the chakra is, but also what the imbalance looks like in a real case scenario. So you can kind of figure out whether or not your stuff is open or closed. Now, before we go further, just so you guys know, chakras are essentially nodes in your body. Okay. And we're talking about energy today. So today is about energy within you, energy within our planet, energy within things that we've created to produce energy. We're going to talk about energy today. So just bear with me here, right? So your chakras are simply just nodes in your body that are connected to organs, but are also just connected to your energy. And depending on which chakra it is, there's a specific type of energy that chakra basically harnesses. Okay. So we talked about the root chakra, which is again, safety, protection, security. The sacral chakra, which is the next one, that's creativity and sexual energy. So as you move further up, you see that each chakra has a purpose. Similar to each part of the body has a purpose. Chakras are the same way. Now, when your chakras are blocked, or whenever you have, any sort of issues with some of these chakras, you have to think of it as healing the whole. You can't just think about, okay, my sacral chakra is messed up, so I gotta eat a certain fruit to make it better. No, it's like they all work together, and they can have dysfunction. So knowing what the dysfunction looks like will help you to know how to solve and fix those things. In the other slide that I'm going to show you, it'll actually show you what you should do to actually save or to get out or root out, what's blocking a chakra. Because chakras aren't usually blocked by things. They can be blocked by ideas and the way that you behave in certain situations. So, all right, so that's the sacral chakra. So the next one up is the solar plexus chakra. It's the third chakra. It's located below the chest, represents self-esteem, pleasure, willpower, and personal responsibility. Imbalance attributes would be low self-esteem, control issues, manipulative tendencies, and misuse of power. So as we go through these, you're going to kind of like think about people who remind you of these things, because we're all going through our own experience and we're all going through different areas in which some of these imbalances are actually in our lives. It may not always be because of a chakra. It could be because of just bad character development, but most of the times it's usually related in your energy. The next one up is the heart chakra. That's the fourth chakra up. Okay. The heart chakra is located in the center of the chest and represents love, self-love, governs our relationships, and the imbalance attributes would be depression, difficulty in relationships, and lack of self-discipline. Okay. That's the heart chakra. Let's go up. Now we're up in the blue. This is called the throat chakra. The throat chakra is the fifth chakra, is located at the center of the neck. It represents the ability to speak and communicate clearly and effectively. Imbalanced attributes would be shyness, being withdrawn, arrogance, and increased anxiety. So as you can see, I've seen anxiety about 3 times so far as an imbalance. So can you see like some of these imbalances are actually repetitive? Because when it comes to energies, you have a positive and a negative, right? And positive attributes to energy usually are similar. Negative attributes are usually similar because they are vibrating in the same frequency. So what you're going to see when we're talking about this is you're going to see some parallels in a lot of different areas, right? And it's just you're showing anxiety as a parallel. The next one up is the purple, this third eye chakra. And this is located in the center of the forehead between the eyebrows and represents intuition, foresight, and is driven by openness and imagination. Imbalanced attributes would be lack of direction and lack of clarity. So have you ever met friends who just don't have, they're just running with their tails between their legs. They're not really focused on anything. They're not able to kind of connect to their higher calling. That's someone that might be suffering from a lack of third eye chakra, blockage. And the last and seventh chakra in our list here, and I think it's blocked up here, but I can read it for you, is the crown chakra, the seventh chakra. It's located at the top of the head and represents states of higher consciousness and divine connection. Imbalanced attributes would be cynicism, disregarding what is sacred, closed-mindedness, and disconnection with spirit. Okay? Now, why am I bringing up the chakras? Let me close out this screen real quick. I'll get back to this conversation with y'all. Why am I bringing that up? Because as the body goes, so does the rest of your experience here. When you don't take care of your body and take care of the energies that are within your body, what you're going to find happen is that you're going to be stuck in problems that you can't solve easily because you're still stuck in the same issue. Let me change this real quick one more time, y'all. Sorry. Make sure that this thing looks perfect. Yeah, so you're stuck in the same issue. And what you'll find is that when you are still dealing with the same type of problems, it's because you haven't answered the question correctly. Life does this thing where it loops you over and over and over until you actually solve the issue. So when we're talking about your energy, we're talking about the things that you're doing individually, whether it be, in your relationships, in your money, with your, giving of your time and yourself, the three areas that the way our nonprofit works in. If your energies are not aligned individually within yourself, your performance outwardly is going to be trash. That's just how it works. So you're going to find that you're going to continue to hit the same roadblocks until you actually deal with you first. And that's what I want this show to be about, where we're talking about energy and not just the energy within you, the energy on the planet, the energy that's actually interacting with you, other people's energies, and how you can start to become owner of your energy experience here, right? So step one, when we talk about the seven chakras that we just mentioned, we have the root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown, right? 7 chakras. Each of them has something that can show you whether or not it's accurate or imbalanced. And each of these chakras are lined up with your organs, just so you know. I'm not going to tell you which organs, because that's a whole other conversation for a whole other day. It's irrelevant for now. But just know that if you eat certain foods, it can impact the energy flow through one of those chakras. If you think certain thoughts that are negative or that are toxic in nature, it could affect how energy flows through one of those chakras. Because remember, chakras are just nodes on your body. They're essentially power centers within your body, located throughout your body, that represent different things. And if you're dealing with certain issues, those chakras will be the ones that are going to be powered through those experiences. Now, the earth is similar to your body. And you'll find that just makes sense, right? As if you were formed from Mother Earth, like you're going to have some similarities with, the earth as well. The earth also has energy centers. The earth also has power in certain areas within the earth that if you are there, you can kind of feel the energy vibrating through you. Gentleman by the name of, I think it's something Ley, I forget his name, but he laid down something called ley lines. And ley lines are essentially lines that cross-sect the entire planet. If you had a map, it'll cross-sect the map. And all of the megalithic structures that you'll see on the planet are typically aligned or on top of one of these ley lines. This is how he figured out where they were. He looked at all the most significant, megalithic structures like the pyramids in Egypt, Stonehenge, certain temples in the East, and certain relics over in America and in the South. Like all of these different areas in South America, same thing, where the Mayans were. All of these major sites, if you were to look at them and put pins in them, right, you would see that each of them line up literally on a ley line. A ley line is just an energy line, a line that essentially has higher levels of energy or vibration from the earth, okay? Similar to how we have chakras that's your energy source. The earth has energy sources too. Now, one of the things that I love about history is that as folks get more and more into it, you start to see how it transcends and intersects with religion, right? So for example, the Bible was written in 60 AD, right? So in a place that had paper called Biblio, I think it was in Biblios, I think is the name of what it was called. I think that's where it was called. But wherever the paper was from, that's where they named the Bible from. So the city in that area. Anyhow, So back then, people were putting these books together with all this ancient wisdom and knowledge, and they were taking books out, putting books in, making sure that they can connect and have some sort of, hey baby, have some sort of cohesion with the story of the Bible. Now, back then in Bible times, there were megalithic structures that were there that are not mentioned in the Bible. So the Bible talks about Egypt. It talks about, the Israelites being taken out of Egypt by Moses and being walked across the Red Sea and all this other stuff into the promised land, right? But it never mentions the Great Pyramids. It never mentions the Sphinx, structures that have been around for, according to archaeologists, longer than 10,000 years, right? And I'll go back to why history and religion always intersect, and they have to, because you can't have one exist without paying homage to the other. Like, you can't talk about religion without paying homage to Christ, or to Jesus, or to any of the prophets, Elijah, Elisha, Aaron that helped Moses. Like, we can go back to Matthew, John the Baptist, all of these folks from the New Testament, go back to King David, Solomon, like, you can't write a book without referring to history. It's not possible, especially in religion. And because of the paying homage piece of religion, that's why we have to now switch the conversation a little bit. We've always gotten the Bible says that this thing happened in history. But not often do we get the thing of, well, history says this, and it actually was mentioned in the Bible, right? Okay, I'll show you where I'm going with this. So lately, I've been on this mission to try and put together different pieces of energy information that might make sense for you. And this is a treat for you guys, because this is about months of research and fasting and connecting with yourself and talking to elders and folks who are, familiar with the same level of energy talk that was happening back in Moses' time, and just getting their understanding of things. So we're going to talk about energy on the planet now. All right. So we talked about you, and now we're talking about the planet. So you know that the Great Pyramids in Giza, right? There's 3 of them. Now, these 3 pyramids at the time, we didn't really know what they were used for, right? Because all we see is the after effect of, thousands of years of erosion. A lot of the limestone that had actually the capstones around the Great Pyramids were taken by Egyptians that lived in the area to help build other temples and other buildings in the area. So they literally used it as a quarrying stone for centuries, right? But prior to that, it was a gold-capped white pyramid that had multiple functions that we never talk about, or that's never discussed in any sort of biblical reference. So what I'm going to do for you guys today is I'm going to share with you from Brother Black Roots exactly what the functions of the pyramids were. And you're going to love this, because I wish that the Bible would talk about things like this, because I'm actually interested in archaeology. I'm interested in, ancient things. It just makes me feel good. Hey, Auntie, what's going on? Good to see you. Joy, what's up? What's up? DJ, what's going on? Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us. Eddie, what up? What up? All right. So, it's good for us to tap back into, ancient wisdom, because remember, the folks that write these books, these ancient books, they're folks that have been trained in the art of remembering, but also in the art of what was taught back then. There was something called 360 degrees of knowledge, right? That was what was being taught back in the day. And now even the most secret societies only have 33 degrees of that wisdom, right? So there's a whole bunch of wisdom that they're missing. And that means that they can't apply the wisdom that we have when it comes to, spiritual things, the use of energy, the use of ancient structures, because they don't have access to that. But we actually have access to people who know that history. And that history was taught as a natural course of behavior in Kemet. That was a natural thing in Egypt back in the day. So someone like Moses would have been taught those things. And when we think about how history intersects with religion, Moses was a prince of Egypt, right? Cool. That means he learned how to read hieroglyphs, how to write hieroglyphs. He knew about the functions of the pyramids that I'm going to share with you now. He knew about, how the actual energies of the planet work, because it's something that they would have studied in the mystery schools that he was a part of. So because he was a part of this, he was actually also aware of what we're about to share about the use of the pyramids. So give me 1 second. I'm about to go get my book real quick, and we're about to give you something that you would never read in the Bible, but you're going to get on Wealth Wednesday. 1 second. Get my book. All right, y'all, I'm back. Okay, didn't take me long, right? Okay, cool. Okay, so we're going to go into the functions of the pyramids. All right, what page is that on? Page 409. Okay, 409. All right, y'all. So again, if you aren't familiar with Blackroot science, you're not familiar with, the historical reference that this book is, I would definitely recommend anybody who is a buff on history and you love history, like just get in and start to like see that this is actually pretty cool stuff. Like, it gives you at least something to start studying. And that's kind of what I used it as in the beginning, was just trying to reference like, what can I take from this to go research? So it talks about the 7 functions of the pyramid, right? So here are the 7 functions. 1, power generator and distributor. 1. 2, preservation. 3, transportation. 4, energy balance. 5, prophecy. 6, resurrection. And 7, divine unity. And it breaks down what each of those means. So 1, power generator, and this is the one I'm going to stick with. I'm just going to go through the first one. I'm not going to read the rest to you, right? Number 1. The ancient Egyptian/Ethiopian Empire used a certain form of electricity that was generated and distributed by pyramids. It is different than modern electricity in that the modern type is a low form of electricity that requires transmission wires. This type did not. And I want to go into one other part of that. Okay. Modern, so okay. Modern generated electricity is a lower spectrum type, barely above static electricity, the type that makes your clothing cling. The ancients used a higher form of electricity that did not require wires for transmission. It was transmitted directly in the ether, which is space, the same way radio waves are transmitted. It was transmitted to the temples, which served, among other things, as receiving stations so that temples had antennas used to receive the transmission. These antennas can still be seen today, erected in front of some of the temples. Modern people call them obelisks. There is one near you in Central Park, New York, that was stolen by Americans from one of the temples, and many more that were stolen by Europeans, perhaps the most famous one being the one called Cleopatra's Needle. Okay? So, quick, that's just the first one. I'm just going to start with that one, and that's it, right? So essentially, back then, when the pyramids were being built, they were being built in centers of power, first of all, just like your chakras are power centers. They were being built in areas that had a significant higher level of energy frequency, right? And then they were used as a power source that was Wi-Fi energy. For most of you who are familiar with Nikola Tesla, right? He got access to some of this information. He was able to understand some of these hieroglyphs from ancient Egypt, from Kemet, and he was able to actually reproduce that same type of energy. If you're familiar with Nikola Tesla, he actually used aquifers in Long Island, New York, actually, of all places, where I'm at. And he was able to dig into the ground and utilize that resonance that was happening underground to essentially light up bulbs anywhere he was. All he had to do was hold it in his hand and I think just walk into the area and the bulb would light up on its own without any sort of wires. That's the same type of wireless energy that was available back then. Now you're asking yourself, like, why wouldn't that be in the Bible? Like, that's a really cool piece of history that would make sense. And when you think about the insides of these pyramids, you have paintings and you have really elaborate like hieroglyphs and use of certain things. And back in the day, they would say, hey, they had torches and they were using torchlight to do the work in the nighttime. Because remember, inside of a pyramid, it's completely pitch black. Like there's no lights in there unless you bring them yourself. So for them to have the ability to see in the darkness, to put up hieroglyphs, to put up painting, to do the artwork, all that type of stuff, they had to have access to some kind of power source, right? And that is the key to this. Like, ancient folks had more access to power than we do here right now. And it was because they understood what power could do and how to transmit power and the basis of the entire spectrum of power, right? Cool. So now I'll go a little further now. So we're still talking about power here. So we're talking about the ancients having access to that, and that's not showing up in religion. Fine, that's okay. So if I go back a little bit further, right? According to Blackroot science, a book talks about when any at the beginning of time, so in the genesis of the universe, right? There is one planet that is pretty much the main planet, and then from there, folks go to colonize Earth-like planets throughout the galaxy. To do that, they actually utilize 12 pyramids that are quarried from asteroids that are outside of the belt of the universe. Like, asteroids that are floating outside of our galaxy, our universe, our galaxy, I should say, our planets, the 9 planets, whatever. So the asteroid belt around it, they'll take those asteroids and they will fracture them into pyramids to then use them to harness the energy on the planet that they're trying to inhabit for the first time. Because it requires a lot of different electromagnetic resonance and work. Just like how your body has chakras, the planet's got chakras too, right? So apparently there are 12 of these big boys that come and land and do this thing. So this is stuff that Brother Blackroot says is just common knowledge. We've never heard of this before. Fine. So I decided to look into it. I'm like, yo, if there were pyramids that were bigger than the Giza pyramids that were used to regulate the entire planet, not just, because Giza, those pyramids were to represent the pharaohs of the time. That was like their burial tombs, right? So that was the thing. But if there were 12 pyramids, according to Brother Blackroots, that were used to actually regulate the planet, and they would be so large that they would be misinterpreted as a mountain, possibly, because they were gigantic single pieces of stone that were used to actually quarry this. Now, if that's the case, we're talking about structures that would be probably earthened, which means that they'd be under a level of dirt and trees at this point because they're so big. They would look like mountains, and they would be much bigger than the pyramids of Giza. That would be the 3 things that you would have to satisfy. Okay, check out this picture. So as I was looking at this, and you guys can look this up yourselves if you want to, but this is my little notepad, right? This is the Bosnian pyramids. And if you've never heard of them before, I want you to Google Bosnia pyramids, okay? And this will blow your mind. And I think this is where I want these conversations to go. Like, we got to make this real for folks. If you don't really know what's happening around you, it's like, well, let's talk about it. So Bosnia, I'm going to Google Bosnia pyramids, Bosnia pyramids, right? I spell Bosnia correct. It's not bonsai. Bosnia, Bosnia. Okay. Bosnian pyramids. And the first thing that'll come up is images of these mountains, right? There are 3 of them. And if you see this picture that I have here, they're comparing the Bosnian pyramid, which is the one on the left, to the Great Pyramid of Giza, right? That's the one all the way to the right underneath my picture. Okay. Do you see the size difference? Right? Okay. These pyramids actually look and dwarf the Great Pyramid like it's nothing, right? And it looks like a mountain today. Literally, it's overgrown with trees. It goes, the Bosnia Pyramid Complex is a pseudo-archaeological notion to explain the formation of a cluster of natural hills in the area of Visoko in central Bosnia. Since 2005, there's been a guy who's been trying to claim that these hills are large human-made ancient pyramids, okay? They've started excavating these pyramids. And not only are there pathways throughout the pyramid, because it is a pyramid, but they're also covered in a layer of concrete that was manufactured from materials that don't even exist on the planet. So the way that the Bosnian pyramids are covered, right? The pyramid is the way that it normally is, right? It's still a pyramid under there, but there is a casing of concrete over the entire thing, right? So it's like covered. Think of like a guy with a concrete machine just poured concrete right over the whole thing, right? So it's covered in an entire, like, I think 2.5 foot thick concrete. That's the strongest concrete that they've ever seen. They can't even replicate it now, right? So it's covered in concrete, and then it's covered on top of soil, and then there are trees planted on top of it, okay? So when you look at this, it looks like a mountain with perfect edges. So I want you guys to Google this, Bosnian pyramids, Bosnian pyramid, and you're going to see 3 of them, because there's actually 3. There's a pyramid of the sun, pyramid of the earth, and a pyramid of the moon. And all 3 of these pyramids are gigantic. Okay. So when I think about, how I connect, Blackroot Science as a book, as a historical reference, to then actual archaeological finds that people are making over the last, 2 decades, it's like, I wish that the Bible put me on a hunt like this, where I can say, hey, the Tower of Babel was located somewhere in Iran. Okay, well, let's look at sites in Iran. Where in Iran was it? Well, I think it was between this mountain and this mountain. Okay, well, let's go there and check it out, right? Like, I would love to have some sort of Indiana Jones moment where I'm hunting down artifacts from the Bible, but the Bible's not really focused on archaeological finds. It's more focused on, getting you to think about something in a very specific way. And that's fine, right? But with Black Roots, it's different. Like, we're looking at actual buildings that are underneath a 2-foot layer of concrete that was made from concrete, not even from this planet, because it's not even the same. We don't have the materials to make it. And it is the size of a damn mountain. And there's 3 of them, right? So along the lines of this, right? If you can see in my notepad, because I started I started looking at stuff. Okay, so we're going to the Bosnia pyramids. Okay, that's 3. Black Root said there's 12, right? That might even be the 12, but he said there's 12. Okay, so at least I got 3 of them. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. My logic for the North Pole is because there's a no-fly zone in the North Pole, and I'm assuming that there's a no-fly zone because there's probably a gigantic pyramid there that's connecting everything to due north. Because remember, electromagnetic, compasses will all point north for a reason. There is obviously a power source that is north, that is magnetic, that is making sure that everything aligns north. So it's logical for me to think that there's something in the North Pole that allows for every compass to point towards it. So I'm just going to assume that there's a gigantic ass pyramid there too. This makes sense. So let's count that out, right? So we got the 3 pyramids, the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon in Bosnia. We got the pyramid in the North Pole, which we can't fly over because there's a no-fly zone over the North Pole. You get shot down, so clearly there's something there. And then we talk about the Bermuda Triangle. And again, guys, just follow me on here. This is just my logic. Because there's a lot of anomalies happening in the Bermuda Triangle, I'm assuming that it's because there are higher levels of energy there. And again, remember, these pyramids were all put in places of high energy. So that could be a thing. So I'm just going to put that there as like a asterisk. That could be just a question mark. We don't know. And then the Dragon's Triangle, which is similar to the Bermuda Triangle, but it's located off the coast of Japan. Exact same scenario happening over there. The Dragon. If you've never heard of these places, y'all write this down, because this is just stuff that I think is really fascinating, really cool. And whether or not it's real or it's fake, I just like talking about things that people don't ever discuss, because it makes for a really good conversation, 1. And 2, it's things you can look up yourself. So if you Google the Dragon's Triangle, you will see that it has the exact same characteristics as the Bermuda Triangle. Ships missing, people getting lost, planes getting lost, different types of fog coming up, and, different types of energy levels, compasses spinning in circles. So there's something happening there as well, right? So there could be a pyramid underwater in that area as well. Okay, cool. Now, this one's going to be pretty cool and fascinating. So the next one that I'm considering when it comes to power centers on the planet, there's 12. We got to 10 so far, is in Tibet. You know how the Tibetan monks, they're very, they're a very, now I wouldn't say religious, but very spiritual group of individuals. They'll spend the entire time in their monastery literally praying, connecting to self, getting closer to, to the universal energy. Like, Tibetan monks are just on a different level, right? Well, usually in these areas where these pyramids can be located, they're high energy areas anyway, right? So there's a mountain called Mount Kailash. It's one of the most spiritual mountains in the world, right? And that mountain, I believe there is something about that mountain that's unique. I think that could be another one of these 12 pyramids that were used to colonize the earth. So again, these are all things that you can look up and research. However, I'm just saying that this is the research that I'm doing right now, because again, you look at Mount Kailash and you realize that it's such a religious significant place. There's got to be a reason for that. I feel like anywhere you go where there is a huge like awareness of like spiritual energy and things, I think that would be a resonating aspect of this, because we're talking about chakras, right? Remember, the top crown chakra, it works in a space of, let me pull it up real quick, because I remember we looked at this. It works in a space of the top of the head. It represents higher states of consciousness and divine connection, right? So because the crown chakra represents divine connection and higher consciousness, anybody that's around a spiritual sacred site that treats it in that way, they're tapping into that 7th chakra. They're tapping into an energy that is above them. And remember, the pyramids were ancient sites, but there were also like, they were religious sites to some degree. Like, there wasn't randomness happening in those pyramids. Those were very higher conscious level types of sites where people are embalming bodies to take them to the next dimension. Like, it was a sacred location. Pyramids have always been sacred locations. So when I see mountains that people are treating like a sacred location, that could be a sign that we're in the right direction. Okay. Another mountain that came up to mind was a mountain in Greece called, I don't know if I can pull it up, but I think it's Helos. It's like Mount Olympus, but hold on. Where the gods lived. Mount Olympus, but no, that's not the mountain that we're talking about. Is it on my thing? Mount Kailash? Hylos, Greece. I think that's the one. Mount Hylos. Let's see if that comes up. Ethos. There you go. Mount Ethos, Greece. Okay. This is a mountain. So look at the definition of this. I'm going to pull down my screen real quick so you guys can see me. Stop sharing that. Okay. So Mount Ethos, spelled Athos in Greece. Okay. Let me read the definition of this. So Mount Ethos, also called Holy Mountain, right? Modern Greek Ethos Oros, or Iona Oros, mountain in northern Greece, site of semi-autonomous Republic of Greek Orthodox monks inhabiting 20 monasteries and dependencies, some of which are larger than the parent monasteries. Okay, so Mount Ethos is literally a pilgrimage area. And I watched this 60-minute documentary on it where they don't even allow people on the mountain. Like, you have to get there. It's a whole ordeal. They have to invite you there. There's no women there. I mean, that part's weird, but whatever. And these monks are literally in prayer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the entire time that they're there. These monks have a 3-year internship, essentially. So for monks that want to come and join this, unique pilgrim monkish situation, they got to be there for 3 years. And then in that time, they're going through, like, again, continuous prayers. They have to live on the land. They have to use whatever skills that they have to benefit the people that are there. But it's very, focused on divine giving of self to God, right? In a divine way. That's all they're doing. Now, these are all signs, again, of something that resembles, some crown chakra type of behavior, right? So again, these are the simple things that, again, I've just been, thinking about this stuff for, a couple of months, and I'm like, hey, even female animals are banned. Is that? I mean, I hope not. That's weird. If they ban female animals, that's weird stuff. So why women are banned from Mount Athos? BBC. Let's look at it. A male-only holy retreat. I mean, I wouldn't want to go because I don't understand why you wouldn't want to have women around. Like, from what I know, they're the half of us. So you're not even complete without a woman. So, I'm not trying to hang around dudes like forever. That's weird behavior. But again, if you think about what's happening, when you give it that type of confinement, right? That means that you're not allowing people to go there and research it, go there and also be a part of, whatever energies are there. And if this mountain was one of the mountains that were brought to the earth to help resonate the energy here, well, now it's locked off and you can't get to it because, people are saying that it's a holy mountain. They're not letting you on there unless you're a man. And like, it's now off limits, right? Again, there's always a reason behind why these things are off limits. So again, I'll go back to our original conversation. Energy, the planet, megalithic structures, the fact that they also harness energy in certain ways, how important energy is. Like, energy is the most important thing that you're going to experience while you're on this planet, good, bad, or indifferent, right? And if you don't start with fixing your energy in here first, all of it isn't really, who cares about Mount Athos? Who cares about Mount Kailash? Who cares about the Great Pyramids? Who cares about any of that stuff? If you're miserable within your own energy, if your chakras are all locked up and clogged up and you're not even able to function at a higher level and able to see things on a higher level, like, what's the point? What's the point of being in this experience if you can't even enjoy the experience, right? So for me, we got to get back to the beginning. Going to Stonehenge next month, hopefully. Oh yeah, it's gonna be great, Joy. Like, and see, Stonehenge, I've always loved. There was a novel that I read about a monster that lived near Stonehenge. I was like, it always intrigued me because I'm like, yo, Stonehenge, I got to get there. All of those sites we got to go visit. Like literally, if you have a passport, if you have the ability to travel, why not go and see things that you created in the past? I have a feeling that when you connect to something that was here before biblical times, something that was here before modern civilization, it's going to remind you of a part of yourself because you are a part of that structure. Like we are literally a part of our history. Your genetics, your DNA is a blueprint for everything that you've experienced and your ancestors have experienced. It's like a resume, a universal spiritual resume of every experience that happened to you and your family members going back into time. So if you were been on this planet, if you're natural to this planet, like most of us are, then that means that you probably have ancestors that helped build Stonehenge, that helped build the Great Pyramids and the temples underneath it. Like you think that the Great Pyramid of Giza is all that's there? That was built on top of a temple, just so you know. Like there was a structure there before they built the pyramid on top of it. And that pyramid just protected the structure underneath. So this is what we do, y'all. Like you'll find that back in antiquity, in ancient times, this is a very common practice. They would build new structures on top of old structures. Think of Solomon's temple. What was that built on top of? Another temple. Like that is the point. They build things on top of things so that they can preserve the site because the site is what's holy. So building something on top of a holy site just makes it even more holy, but it protects the original site. So neither here nor there, but that's just something that I learned from, interacting with history. So what I'll tell you guys is this. It's important that you realize that this world is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful place. Like, do not let, what's happening with wars, what's happening with, a lot of these rumors of things that are happening. The Bible talks about that, right? Wars, rumors of wars. But I think the greater injustice is when you can't even discover the beauty on this planet, right? This is the time to do this, y'all. Like 2022 is a very powerful year. And if you don't utilize it the right way, you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on the opportunity to experience things that are going to change your energy. And there are a lot of folks who are dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety, dealing with stress and trauma from losing loved ones, from losing, jobs, losing, opportunities for certain things. It's like, listen, you get to create what happens next. Do not let what you've lost prevent you from gaining what is coming your way if you just accept and embrace it. We spend more time thinking about what we don't have than what we do have. And that's just a natural thing. Like I remember telling folks last year, like, hey, if you don't have a bunch of debt, stay there. If you have a bunch of debt, get rid of it. And even myself, I got rid of a car. I had 2 cars. I don't need 2 cars. I got one butt, one booty. What do I need 2 cars for? I'm not that guy. So I got rid of one. And literally the moment that I got rid of that car, my entire energy was just like, stress-free. Why? Because I'm no longer focused on excess. Excess is a sin unless you're giving it away. Like if you have more than you need and you're just okay with that, when it comes to like actual like expensible things, like let's say I have shoes, right? I got 2 feet. If I've got 45 pairs of shoes, for what? I don't have 45 occasions to wear those shoes to. Like you shouldn't have excess in certain things unless it's something you can give to others. Like that's the thing. And that goes for everything because the more you give, the more vibrational energy you're giving out to the universe to come back to you. And we're going to realize soon enough, I would say in the next 7 years, that things are no longer are obstacles for us anymore. If you want to buy a house in Hawaii, you can do that. If you want to go get land in Jamaica, you can do that. If you want to go and start up a water, well drilling company in Africa, you can do that. All you got to do is have the will and just dedicate yourself to the idea and it'll work. Like that's literally where we are right now. Whatever you want to see manifest will happen, but you've got to get your energies in order. You've got to make sure that all of your chakras are functioning correctly. Because remember, they're not just arbitrary things. These are actual nodes in your body that represent certain parts of your character. And if you're not working on your chakras, then you're going to have blockages when it comes to you manifesting things that those chakras need you to manifest. So for example, let's say that you want to start a new business, right? Well, the third eye chakra is really important for that because it says the third eye chakra is located in the center of the forehead between the eyebrows. It represents intuition, foresight, and is driven by openness and imagination, right? That's your third eye chakra. So if you're trying to start a new business or start something for the first time that's never existed, you'd want to make sure that your third eye chakra is opened and able to be utilized to help you manifest those things, right? So if your third eye chakra is blocked because it says one of the attributes of imbalance would be lack of direction or lack of clarity. Let's say you're always scatterbrained and you don't really have, a method of doing something. Like say you want to go to a trip, but you didn't research the flights, you didn't research, the expenses when you get there, the hotels, you don't know what direction it is located from where you're at. Like you're just confused. If you're trying to do something and you need to kind of do it effectively, you've got to go all in. So with the third eye chakra, like if you're starting up a business, you got to make sure that chakra is open so that you can continue to be imagination. You can continue to have openness and to have your mind work and get to the extents of the universe, right? You want to open that up. If you are looking at starting a family and you want to make sure that you can provide a level of security for your children, well, that's the root chakra, right? You want to make sure that your base, the base of your spine, it provides a foundation of what we build our life, represents safety, security, stability. So if you live in the hood and you want to raise a family that you want stability with, like you may want to move out the hood, right? Or if you are in a toxic environment and you say, hey, I want to raise a family outside of a toxic environment, you gotta shift your environment because your root chakra is the key to you being able to establish that thing that you want to have. So these chakras all have characteristics that apply to you directly. And they're all just parts of your energy body that you need to open up in order to access and manifest things in those areas. At least better. You can manifest it anyway, but it'll be more difficult because you're working against the manifestation. If I'm living in the hood and I want security and safety, my environment is affecting that chakra because I'm walking around with stress. I'm walking around thinking that I might get jumped tomorrow. I'm walking around thinking that I'm not going to get out the hood. And my cousin just got shot last week on the block. And like all of that thinking blocks that chakra and does not allow you to provide that level of security that you may want to have for your family that you're trying to build. So everything is connected. The greatest disjustice that I think, again, is happening to us is that we're so busy trying to get out of the bottom two chakras that we don't even get a chance to feel the third, fourth, and fifth chakra. Like we're so busy getting stuck in root chakra issues. What's a root chakra issue? Food instability, no actual income or low income, being in an environment that is continuously over policed and you're always in a fight or flight mentality because of your environment, not having access to nutritious food, being in a state of malnutrition because you are surrounded by bodegas, but none of them have actual things you can eat. Like those are all root chakra issues. So if the people that are in power can keep you in a root chakra issue, then you'll never get to open up your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye, your crown. You can't even manifest where you're supposed to be because you're so busy trying to live, trying to survive. That's it. I remember this pastor was saying that, a lion that was raised in captivity is raised in captivity in a cage, right? And it has an environment that looks like its environment, but it's still locked in. Why? Why do you have the locks? If it's been raised from cub until adulthood and it's never seen its own natural habitat, why do you need to have a lock on the door? Like it's not going to want to go anywhere, right? And he was like, no, because lions have an innate ability to understand their truth. And if they get outside that fence, you trust and believe they're going to know what a lion looks like. They're going to be attacking some stuff. They're going to do, because their truth is bigger than this thing, this cage. So you have to lock them in or else they will escape and they will manifest the truth that they truly are a lion, king of the jungle. They're supposed to be in the savannas of Africa, roaming with their pride, doing what they do. You're a lion. You're stuck in the cage of your mind and of your own making. Get out of that shit. Okay? Get out of it and understand that you were meant to do more things. And that's really what this conversation is about. Like, we've got to start manifesting what we want. But remember, your body is a power center, just like the pyramids, just like the Bosnia pyramids, just like Stonehenge. Your body's a power center. What you are producing is going to represent what you get back. If you can produce positivity, confidence, love, gratefulness, all of those positive characteristics if you can produce that, you're going to be in a much better position when it comes to manifesting what you need. And you might be able to keep what you manifest. See, people think that they want to just manifest everything in life. It's like, but do you have the moral character to actually maintain the thing that you're asking for? If you're asking for a Lamborghini, but you don't have a driver's license and you can't drive stick, when you get the Lamborghini, what are you going to do with it? You're going to sit there in your Lamborghini doing nothing, right? Because you manifested something that you can't even use. That's what we're doing right now. A lot of folks are manifesting things that they can't even have the moral character to keep. So what I'm going to tell y'all is this. work on your character, work on the parts of you that are lacking, when it comes to the chakras that we were talking about, the imbalances that we referenced. I'll read them to you guys one more time. And remember that your life and the quality of that life is going to be completely predicated on your ability to master self. What am I seeing in the comments here? My bonus daughter and son-in-law just moved their family of 7 from Atlanta to Belize. Look at that. Manifest what you want. That's what I'm talking about. You don't got to be here. Go where you want to go. Be where you want to be. And don't make excuses. Like, you've got one life to do this right. And you're going to spend that telling, oh, well, you didn't let me go. Or I didn't get my passport. Oh, I didn't travel. Like, what are your excuses, yo? What are your excuses? Stop giving us excuses. Stop giving yourself excuses. Forget me. I'm nobody. I'm no one. But don't give yourself an excuse. Please try to live a life that is worth living. Like we lost one of our workers last week, and I was talking to his wife this week, and we're going through and helping out whatever we can. And it's like, you want to make sure that you live this life and you run this race as best as you can, because you get one shot at this. At least this experience. I mean, we get multiple shots because we're cosmic beings, whatever. But for everyone else, this exact experience, this person that you are, this character that you have, the lifestyle that you're choosing, all of this is a one-time shot. Even when we reincarnate, it's not going to be in this form. I'm not going to have this beard. I'm not going to have this bald head. It's going to be a different version. It's still going to be my spirit, but it's going to be a different body. Like, it's a different experience. And there's a different lesson to be learned in that experience. So for me, it's really important that we take the time to understand yourself, understand what your goals are, and see how you can wrap everything that you love around you with those goals so they don't conflict. A lot of times we think that my goal over here has to conflict with your goal over here. When it's like, no, these can complement each other, but we just have to be open to that and not control anybody's movement. Like, if you're supposed to go to Belize with your 7 kids, I ain't gonna stop you. Go to Belize. That's what's supposed to happen. I'll visit, there has to be some synergy here. Everyone's got something that they're looking to do in this lifetime. And if you're the person or the reason why your partner or the people in your life don't get there, I'm going to say you're doing them a disservice, and they're dumb for listening to you, right? So follow your heart, follow your passion. Don't make excuses for things. Understand that the earth is a power center. You're a power center. And I think that if you end up in places like Stonehenge, Joy, or places like the Great Pyramids, or in Bosnia, like if you end up in these places and you're also a power source, you might get charged. Might happen. Every time I put a Wi-Fi cell phone on a Wi-Fi charger, that shit charges. But if I put an old cell phone on a Wi-Fi charger, it doesn't do anything. It just sits on a piece of charge and nothing happens. It's not built for Wi-Fi charging, right? We are built for Wi-Fi charging. Last time I checked. And when your chakras are open, that money comes right in. That money comes through. That energy comes in and out. So, folks, that is pretty much it. Let's see. What do I want to end up with? So we talked about chakras. We talked about the blockages. Let me read them off to you one more time. That way you can start working on the parts of you that need this work. So we'll start from the bottom. So root chakra. It provides foundation on which to build your life, representing safety, security, stability. When it's imbalanced, the attributes would be scattered energies, anxiety, and fear. So if you have anxiety, scattered energy, and fear, that's a root chakra issue. Start working on that. Next one up, sacral chakra. Represents creativity and sexual energies, imbalance of which is lack of repressed creativity, sexual dysfunction, withheld intimacy, and emotional isolation. If that's an imbalance for you, that's a sacral chakra issue. Work on that. DM me and I can tell you what organ that connects to as well. Solar plexus chakra, third chakra, located below the chest, represents self-esteem, pleasure, willpower, and personal responsibility, right? An imbalance of this attribute would be low self-esteem, control issues, manipulative tendencies, and misuse of power. Okay, so check these. So you know the chakra, but you need to know the back part of it. Because if you're doing the back part, that means that you have an imbalance in that node. You got to clear that out. And it clears out by you improving the characters that are associated with the negatives, by literally taking the opposite words and trying to manifest those into your life. You will undo the damage to that sacral chakra. Next, heart chakra. It represents love, self-love, governs our relationships, right? An imbalance in that would look like depression, difficulty in relationships, lack of self-discipline. So if you have a lack of self-discipline, you might have a heart chakra issue. So again, think of these words in reverse. Ask yourself, what's the opposite of self-discipline? Being disciplined. Opposite of difficulty relationships, having healthy relationships. Being depressed, being happy. So just work on the opposite of what these imbalanced attributes are, and you will unlock and unblock that chakra. Next one up, throat chakra. Represents the ability to speak and communicate clearly and effectively, an imbalance of which would be shyness, being withdrawn, arrogance, and increased anxiety. Now, there are some folks who are introverts, so being withdrawn isn't an introversion. That's not the same thing. An introvert doesn't want to be in a loud space, but they can still communicate. Being withdrawn is like I see a group of people and I don't want to be a part of it. I just want to protect myself. I want to be shy. So if you're a shy person and you know that you're having a throat chakra issue, become more bold. Raise your hand in class. Contribute more. Speak more things. Do more things. That's gonna unblock that. The last one, the third eye chakra. Sorry, second to last. Third eye chakra represents intuition, foresight, and is driven by openness and imagination. An imbalance in that means you would have a lack of direction, a lack of clarity. You've had friends that don't know which direction to go in, or friends that send you down the wrong path. It's like, yo, if I'm having a third chakra issue and you're a friend that's sending me down the wrong path, I'm no longer your friend like that. Like, you and I can't be friends. We can be associates, we can interact, but we're not going to be close friends because you're not helping my chakra. If I'm trying to be the third eye and having foresight, intuition, openness, and imagination, if that's what I'm trying to do, anyone trying to stop your imagination, stop your openness, anyone trying to stop your ability to see things in the future and plan for the future, they're trying to create an imbalance in your third eye chakra. And that's what media does, if you want to think about it. Media has a really good way of closing your third eye chakra as best as they can, because they make you so concerned about the most, the news today, this, that, and the third, as opposed to saying, well, I want to plan a trip to go to Tahiti. I want to plan a trip to go to Africa. I want to go here. Like, you can't think clearly because you're so worried about Croatia. Or you're worried about, wherever, a war that's happening. Oh, COVID, da, 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 da. You can't think open and imaginative. So the news and media usually takes out your third eye chakra if you let it, if you read too much into it. And the last and most important one, the crown chakra. It represents states of higher consciousness. You can't even get there until you get through the first six, right? It represents states of higher consciousness and divine connection. The imbalance in that would be cynicism, disregarding what is sacred, closed-mindedness, and disconnection with spirit. So folks who want to do church but don't want to worship God. They want to go to the building, but they don't want to be kind to their fellow man. They look at something that might be an altar and say, oh, that's devilish. Like, people that don't have respect for sacred things, they may have a blockage in the crown chakra, and that may prevent them from stepping into the next level of understanding, right? So if you're around people that are like that, it's not their fault, but it's your job to not let that stop you from going where you're supposed to go. If you have a crown chakra that's open and you're with someone whose crown chakra is blocked, don't let their advice be what you take. Fast. Make sure that you can connect to spirit. To connect your crown chakra, just so you know, you've got to fast. You've got to eat correctly. You've got to think correctly. Everything that you think becomes manifested in your connection to spirit. So if you're thinking negatively, you're not connecting to spirit, because that's not a quality of spirit. Spirit is such high concentrated righteousness that if you're thinking negatively, you can't even be around certain spirits. You know what I mean? God's not even going to deal with you if you're thinking negative. Hey, God, I hate everything. I hate that. God's not even listening at that point, because you're not even resonating with God. To speak to God, you literally have to be in a humble state. You have to be interceding, like literally pleading your case to God and saying through love and devotion, dedication, you're sending that positive vibration up. Then you will connect with God and the universe, right? And God will speak back to you. But he or she is not going to speak back to you if your crown chakra is clogged. So folks, that's Wealth Wednesday. We talked about power. We talked about the chakras. We talked about the power centers on the earth. We talked about the fact that history and religion are always going to be connected, but it's our job to start connecting it from the reverse. Don't just say the Bible said this. Well, no, history said this. What does the Bible say about it? Like, let's try to create an entire circle between everything, because we're all part of this experience together. And you cannot tell me that they didn't know the pyramids existed when Jesus was here, because they were still there. Those pyramids have been there for 2,000 years before Jesus was born. So they've been around, right? How come it's not in the Bible? Talk about it. Folks, appreciate you guys. Value you guys. Next week, I don't know what we'll talk about, but it's Mother's Day weekend. So hopefully you guys are going to do something cool with your women. And if you're not, just say a quick shout out to your moms, let them know that we represent and we appreciate them. And until next time, again, like I said, this journey is yours. If you didn't hear this entire episode, it was about energy, about knowing how to place your energy, knowing that your chakras don't define you, but they allow you to manifest things in those areas. So please start looking at how you can unlock the characteristics that open up those chakras. Because it's not just about, it's a chakra. No, it is a characteristic within your personality that helps to manifest the energy through that chakra so that it's open. And then it's also what you're dieting and how you're feeding your body, because those nodes in your body, that's all connected. So folks, that's it. That's an hour. I got to go. I'll catch you guys next week. Until then, continue to manifest, continue to do what you're doing, continue to fast, look up the Bosnia pyramids, look up the pyramids of Giza, look up the white pyramid in China. Look that one up. Look up Mount Kailash. Look that up. Look up. Yeah, I'll just look those up and we'll go from there. All right. So peace. And I'll catch you guys next week. We're going to talk about it. All right. Later, y'all.